welcome everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast, and of course, I am joined here with the Philly sports guy, back from a super fun trip to Florida, it looked like, and, and stat guy. I mean, we might as well open up with your game, right? Like that. Did you guys actually like go to that, or they just like sign people up from the stands? What was going on there?
I was dressed in the right attire. If they had asked me to come out and play defense, I would have probably gotten a couple of tackles because I could actually tackle
Man,
better than they did.
Like, it was not an enjoyable watch.
Well, I'll be honest with you. It was all the way around not an enjoyable watch. For no lie, I started out the gate at about 148 pounds. Since I got back, I put on a couple of pounds. I'm at now 132. I'm sorry, 232. 248 is what I weighed, and now I weigh 232 pounds. So I lost a lot of weight that day, which means there was a couple of things that I saw. So besides the fact that I walked outside with the stuff on, and I'm like, I can't breathe. Like, I just can't breathe. It's way too hot. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do my thing. It's like, I'll get through it. These guys are going to go through it. They're going to get through it. They didn't have a fan on the sideline. They didn't have a mister on the sideline. I'm like, they had no preparation for the heat whatsoever. And it showed. Like after warm-ups, they came out and they were about as flat could be. And
so it was ugly before kickoff then.
I didn't see the warm-ups.
Oh, gotcha.
But after talking to Hollis Thomas and just asking him like what's going on, like what happened, they're like they just weren't prepared for the heat. They didn't practice in the summer. Their practices are soft, and every once in a while you're going to get a game like this. It's Tampa Bay in September.
Yeah.
And after a hurricane comes through, the only thing there is a high pressure.
Yeah.
So that means it's going to be hot, hot, hot.
It's going to be hot.
No clouds.
Be humid.
Ain't no clouds
as everything starts evaporating.
100%. And they were not prepared for it at all. There were also, I mean, I'm not going to use this as any excuse because it only would have maybe changed 7 points in any direction. The referees were horrible, like bad, horrible. I yelled, and 3 cameras got me. I can't wait to see those pictures. I started to yell. Like the one thing that, the punt that, the guy pushed him into it. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, the guy had 4 steps and could have gotten out of the way and he didn't.
Yeah.
And then they still called it on him. Like, oh, he got pushed into him and that becomes a muff punt. Are you kidding me? Like in every other world, it was that. And then the pass interference, the defensive pass interference, the ball is 5 yards above his head. As the ball is going over, our guy is going after it too, and they collide. 5 yards over both their heads. They're jumping up as high as they can go, and they called pass interference on that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there it is. He's about to throw an interception. Our guy is on it. And Mike Evans literally grabs his helmet and twists him around so that it's an incomplete pass. Like 3 yards he did this. I was so loud, I yelled at the ref. Everybody else is quiet, and I'm starting to yell at the ref. What, is it not count if the offensive guy does it here? I'm like, what's going on? I knew the ref could hear me because I was close enough at this point, and it was silent. So much so that 3 cameras immediately turned around onto me. These weren't like the game day cameras. These were just actual people want to take picture. And I'm yelling at the ref. I'm like going at him. I'm like, I know you hear me. And I'm not cursing because I want him to hear me. Because the moment you curse, it's done. So I know you can hear me. Then he was tied up. He wrapped him up completely. Why isn't that call being made? Why isn't that call being made? And I know that those pictures. I was fuming at the mouth at this point because at this point they had already won. Why cheat?
Yeah.
Why cheat more? So, yeah.
No, like we had some weird ones in last night's game. Against the Lions, there was one where there was a lot of.
You guys see, I'm drinking root beer. I ain't drinking regular beer.
Starting off with the Medillas, but one of them like that should have been defensive pass interference. Straight tackled DK in the just ran him over, and you can make a case. Hey, the defender can go for the ball too. You can, but you can't go through the receiver. Right. And so he basically tackles him. There was an offensive pass interference on Lockett that two guys broke down and bracketed him. And he's running through. Right. So they get him for OPI. And to the letter of the law, I guess you could call it because, you're engaging with the defender. But if you have two defenders break down and bracket you in, you're going to hit those guys. That's just. What the hell else are you going to do? You're just going to stop running? You can't just give up on the play. So it was just it was weird. It was weird. There was some weird stuff in that game. That's not why they lost by any means, but to your point, just the calling of penalties it's inconsistent.
Well, they have not been calling the hand checking. Hand checking has been allowed this year, and it's been okay. It's been pretty good. I don't mind them keeping their hands in their pockets. The flags in the pockets. It was getting called too much last year.
You should be able to hand check a bit.
Right. However, you can't literally run through a guy or tackle a guy.
Exactly.
I don't care if he's on offense or defense.
No, that's exactly right.
And it was 100% a blown call. In fact, Nick Sirianni heard me, and he went over to go talk about it. I swear to God, it was one of those things where everybody just saw what happened, and nobody said a word. And I'm like, what happened there? What are you talking about? That should be offensive pass interference. You're going to call something, call something.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's, I feel like just every year, we're talking about refs not getting stuff done. And it's frustrating.
Well, and listen, I'd rather them not call it than call it. I'd rather them have to hear about it, that the non-call rather than the call. But you can't do call, and then a non-call when it's convenient.
Yeah.
Can't do that. We're going to pick up the flag because we think he got pushed into him. You know what I mean? That call's supposed to be made on the field. You can't go to a replay to look at it.
And that's what's frustrating. If you watch any of the KC games, right? One of the games, they get a defensive pass interference that helps them out because a guy comes through. The second one, they create that same issue, no call. The following week, they get it to happen to them again, and it's a call. It's okay, well, if it's only going to go KC's way, you're going to end up with people, that are saying this right here. Games are rigged. You can't feed into that kind of stuff. And we will talk about Pete Rose today for sure, but we'll get through football first. But
I'm sure you guys saw my video at the end was just literally I'm in downtown Tampa where there's nobody. I'm in the financial district of Tampa, which is dead because that was the only hotels that were left because of everything else that occurred. And beyond everything else, I wish the parts of Tampa and Clearwater and Sarasota and all those places that really got hit hard by the storm, I hope they're able to recover really well. That truth of the matter is that every Tampa fan that I saw, I asked them how they fared during the storm. So there was a bigger looming situation that occurred that was much more important important than a football game. So I definitely know where my loyalties lie. You know what I mean? Human beings are more important than any score. That being said, you know what I mean? It was so hot. And to see that effort that they portrayed, the 21 points before the end of the first quarter, you know, so much so that I'm walking around and I'm taking pictures with guys, with YouTubers. I have no idea who they are. And they got like 3 million followers, 4 million followers. I was like, damn, I still have no idea. Steve will do it. Steve will do it. Shout out to you. Thanks for the picture. If you want to Google Steve will do it, you'll find out a little bit about him. I watched a 15-minute documentary about him a little bit on a YouTube channel, somebody else's YouTube channel. Funny as that sounds. And he's a character. So am I, though. So that being said, yeah. How about those Phillies?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we might as well kick it off. Pete Rose passes away, and he was 83.
Yep.
Now do they finally put him in?
Yep. They will.
They finally put him in now that he's passed away.
I will say it's going to be a full year from the death of, from his death. So he's not going in this year. He'll go in next year.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't figure he would go in this year.
They want to make sure he's buried. Yeah, they don't want him coming back.
That's right. They're all going to be there just to make sure he's actually passed on.
So I mean, it's as funny as that sounds. I mean, I used to be a Pete Rose advocate.
Yeah.
I used to say, just put him in. And then I realized how much of an asshole he was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I understand in baseball terms, but what occurred is what occurred, and he was the one that lied when he could have told the truth and gotten out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
well, and then he doubles down during the Ohtani thing and is like, "Oh, I should have just had a."
Showed how much of an asshole he was.
Yeah,
Showed how much of an asshole he was, and that you can't do that. You just can't do that. I mean, you are not bigger than the game of baseball. You happen to be a great part of it, and your ego
got in the way.
made it so that you couldn't be a part of it. Well, guess what? That's your own fault.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll go into Cooperstown, but that's what we just talked about. But it's going to be it's going to be a year. They're not going to do it right away. No. It's going to be a posthumous thing, and you're going to see. Now that he's dead, I mean, everybody's going to fight for his life rights and whatever, and who wants to get the story out first? The story of Pete Rose and all this other stuff, and I mean, he's already had 18 to 20 documentaries and such.
Right.
Yeah, there'll be a new 30 for 30 though. No question.
Yeah. I can hit baseballs and piss people off.
Both exceedingly well.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that he'll obviously get in. He has to get in. Yeah, they can't keep him out anymore. And I like it better that it was posthumously.
Do you think they're just like, no, we're just never gonna do it?
No, it may be done that way throughout the rest of this commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the next commissioner would absolutely do it, because it's at that point it doesn't even hurt that commissioner to do so. He actually wins fans just because of, and that's why this commissioner will do it. Because this commissioner is going to win fans by doing it. He's going to be known as the commissioner that actually did let Pete Rose in.
Yeah.
Truth of the matter is that him dying may open up the door for all of the other players, not just Pete Rose, but Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa,
Yeah.
Roger Clemens, I think that this is going to start the wave. And this is why, see, I had a conversation with Rob Motti, and I may want to bring him on to talk about this some more. He still has a vote in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I asked him about it. I said,
okay.
do you feel that you should, that the Hall of Fame is any good anymore? And he's like, no, like he votes for Barry Bonds. He is pro that era getting into the Hall of Fame, and that they need to get into the Hall of Fame, that they saved baseball.
Yeah.
As ridiculous as it sounds, the Roger Clemens, Mike Piazza situation helped save baseball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa home run challenge. That was must-watch television. You stopped every other thing you were doing to watch the at-bats. I still have a newspaper. I have a newspaper. Good. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, you wanted to see if they bounced the baseball off the neighboring building. They was hitting those things a country mile.
Right. I still have the newspaper where I said that Mark McGwire was going to hit me a home run. He was going to hit the ball to me. He hit the ball so hard that it bounced off the wall. And I went back. I knew how to track the ball back then. So I went back to go get it. It hit off the wall between the 300 and the 400 level at the vet. We're at the vet now. Bounced down and landed on the seat I was sitting in and skidded all the way back across the field. The newspaper took a picture of it. And you see me with my glove going, fuck!
That's awesome.
I still have that newspaper. And the headline was Godzilla 3, because that's how long ago it was. And he hit 3 home runs that game. And it was like, and I still have the newspapers from when he hit 61, 62, 68, 70. Like, I saved them all because it was something that was what we did. We were watching history happen.
No question. No, and it was funny too, because, when it came out that he was juicing and people are like, oh my God, it's like, how did you not know? Like the dude went from a normal sized human to having arms this big around. Like,
like I said, it was a different world back then. I announced it to Rob Motti. I says, do you remember when Lenny Dykstra, and I says, I'm only bringing up Lenny Dykstra because he's the one that said it on live television. They asked, what do you attribute to all of this amazing hitting? And he said, good vitamins. He straight out said on television, I am taking drugs to go ahead and hit these baseballs and play the way we are.
Yeah. No,
I know what it's like because I played softball. We won a championship. We had a whole bunch of old guys. We won a championship because I was able to get Percocets at the time.
Well, there you go.
Know what I mean? Like we won a championship on Percocet. The whole team.
Yeah, yeah. And it was the whole league, so it's not like it was like a random one guy. Like, you were batting against juiced up pitchers.
Look at Sammy Sosa's home run derby at Miller Park in 2002. The 10 furthest home runs ever hit in a home run derby were from Sammy Sosa, that home run derby.
Yeah. Didn't he have like what looked like a foul tip clear the fence?
He had like a ball that literally got off the end of the bat. It literally sounded like a broken bat pop up that went 420 feet. No,
that's what I mean. Like you had one that in every other scenario is an easy out because it was off the tip of the bat and should have been, that's that you didn't make good contact at all. And he still yanks that out of center. And you're like, I don't feel like that's a real thing. And then he had like 5 straight home runs that he hit like 510 to 520. He hit one that was like 547 that he put through the glass panels in the back of the Miller Park outfield. That's amazing.
Yeah, and don't think that they weren't doing it in the 70s and the 80s as well. It wasn't. They were getting tested. Think about this. How many times have we heard about Doc Gooden saying that he went out there he had a jaw going. You know, and that's why they would never show him on the mound because he was all coked up.
Just licking his teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Darryl Strawberry, same situation. That whole Mets team. And then
Yes.
the whole Yankees team.
Strawberry was like next level though. Like
He was next level. You know what I mean? And so those are the things that, I mean, they all had their own situations and their own things, all the way back to, hey, what if I told you that Babe Ruth was the first one to ever start taking steroids?
I mean,
There
you
is
wouldn't know. You'd piss a lot of people off, but you also could be right.
100% that the steroid era really began with him. Like that Joe DiMaggio, and listen, I love Joe DiMaggio. I mean, 56 games in a row. He was on Black Beauties. So he took Black Beauties. That was like a speed pill. That was like Adderall times 10.
Yep.
You know, so that's why he was so fast. You know, Ricky Anderson, same situation. You know, needed the speed, you know, and just it got him going. You know what I mean? So there, everybody, any edge you could use was being used.
Of course.
So that being said, it has nothing to do with Pete Rose dying.
But the biggest thing that I hate with people argue about the whole steroid situation too is, yes, steroids make you stronger. Yes, they make you heal faster, which is why a lot of baseball players took them during the early 2000s to kind of heal faster from injuries. You still got to make contact with the damn baseball. If you can't make contact with the baseball, steroids ain't going to do you any good. And when it comes to like a pitcher like Roger Clemens, you can throw harder, but if you can't throw strikes, steroids ain't going to do a damn thing for you.
Yeah.
So like those players, like Sammy Sosa may have not been going to the Hall of Fame before he took steroids because he was never really a power hitter. He was more of like a 20-30 type of guy that was going to steal more bases than hit home runs. But Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds were going to go to the Hall of Fame before they got on steroids. Barry Bonds was going to be a 500 guy regardless. Roger Clemens is going to be a 300-game winner regardless. Like, they're being punished for just taking part of an era that was acceptable at that time, and they're not looking at the big picture where Bonds and Clemens are going to be in the Hall of Fame regardless of what they were going to do.
Imagine if Griffey would have juiced.
Yeah. Like, and he played in that era too, but it's just like, you can say what you want about all these players that took them, but you still have to look at the big picture. There are certain players that, yes, they took steroids during that time, but even if they didn't take it, they were still going to end up in the Hall of Fame anyway. So why punish them and not put them in?
I mean, but you know, to Pag's credit, like they did save baseball because they had they had the lockout not that far before, and people weren't watching.
Yeah,
like they were not getting their viewer base back. Like baseball, viewership numbers were terrible. So all of a sudden,
baseball was the first one to actually have $1 million players.
Yeah,
they were the first ones to break the $1 million barrier, and that was where, and of course the Phillies were involved in that too, because that's what started the free agency, and the free agency became a real thing rather than owning the rights of a player. So yeah, because Curtis Flood didn't want to come to the Phillies. Just was dead against coming to the Phillies, and we owned his rights, and his contract was up, and that's how he was the one. Curtis Flood was the reason why free agency began in sports in general. So,
well, kudos to him because it's an interesting part of the game.
Right. But that's where the money became, because once that happened, then I think Mike Schmidt was the first player to get $1 million in Philadelphia. He might have been the first player to ever get $1 million ever.
Oh, okay.
He might be that guy. Minus soccer players. Soccer players may have gotten money like that beforehand.
Yeah.
But
probably.
But yeah, he was the first player I know in Philadelphia to get $1 million a year. And it just grew from there. Now we have $700 million players.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little out of hand, but
You're only worth what somebody's going to pay you.
Hey, I'm not mad at it. I mean, like, it seems ridiculous, but if somebody were to be like, "Hey, you want to do this?" I'd be like, "Absolutely."
Well, see, and of course, now the moment he retires, he's going to open up the Otani Casino.
That would be amazing. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. I think
not whatsoever.
Hilarious.
So, but on top of all that, I mean, we're just about at the bottom of the hour. So why don't we take the break? Because afterwards we could talk about we have postseason baseball about to take hold, and unfortunately for everybody in Seattle, they were 1 game out.
Yep. Well, they were 3 games out. Let's be honest.
Actually, 1 game because you had the tiebreaker with Kansas City.
No. Soon as because we actually ended up getting eliminated on our day off, and so soon as we were exactly 3 games back, we didn't own the tiebreaker against anybody. So as soon as we hit that 3 games, it was a wrap. And then the teams that were in just stopped playing. The Mariners, swept the last one. And so it looks like 1 game, but it was 3 games. That being said, if you are a fan of postseason baseball and you want to bet alongside Coast to Coast, you can hit the QR code on the screen, 125% bonus of your initial deposit. You get up to 3 of those. And of course, there is a 10% bet guarantee on your qualifying bets. And then, of course, if you're here in the Pacific Northwest, you can use the QR code on the screen for True Fusion Gym with the 3 locations in Bellevue, Ballard, and University Village. Free 5-day pass for Pilates, boot camp, yoga, bar, hot rooms, and more. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. All right. There we go. So, yeah, got postseason play coming up. And not that the Mariners are involved, but that's okay because we have football.
Exactly. But that being said, the Phillies are in, and we're not playing. And how about what happened yesterday? I mean, think about all the craziness that occurred yesterday.
Yes.
Well,
how funny is it to have 2 teams celebrating at the same time? Like that was the most everyone gets a trophy in a juice box from like you were a kid. Both teams go, and I get it was a doubleheader, but I mean, it was just hilarious. Like everyone's a winner.
Well, that was the definition of participation trophies in the Major League Baseball world. Like, hey, we all win. We all get to go to the playoffs. Let's all celebrate together.
Exactly.
Let's all get on the same airplane and go where we need to go.
Like I'm not mad at it. It just it was just funny.
It was a little funny. However, the only people not celebrating were the Arizona Cardinals. Not the Arizona Cardinals, the Arizona Diamondbacks. That they were a little unhappy that.
They had some nice comments come up from Arizona this morning too.
Oh yeah,
what did they say? That the Mets quit.
I gotta see if I can find it. The Diamondbacks general manager openly admits that it was a mistake to sign Jordan Montgomery.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not gonna sit well with him.
Steve-O, they also had 3 starting linebackers and 2 starting defensive linemen miss this game, and then lost safety Julian Love halfway through the game. So you knew that defense was going to give up some stuff.
Yeah. So there you have it. They stunk. Is what that came out to. That defense did not come out to play. Trust me, I know what it was like to watch a defense that didn't come out to play.
Yeah, in fact, of our normal panel, only one of our teams won, and it was the Vikings. So that is weird. It just feels weird to say.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything. I know that our team is a better team than what they're playing, than how they're playing. And I could say that it's the heat. I could say it's whatever, but there's something that's a problem. There's a problem.
Yeah, something not quite right. No, I mean, and with Seattle, you knew that defense was going to get destroyed because even when everyone was healthy, they were not able to stop the run effectively. But what I liked was the fight out of this team.
Yeah.
I mean, because there was no letdown, start to finish. The offense was out there trying to make it happen. They still put up a ton of points. So, I mean, you couldn't have asked for more out of a game you knew they were going to lose. Like when you saw how many guys up the middle, which was already a weak point of the defense, that were going to miss this game, you're just like, oh yeah, this is going to be a rough day, especially against an offensive line of the Lions that is, one
formidable.
Of the better, yeah, and a running attack that is also one of the tops in the league.
Yep.
And then you're going to get rid of the entire middle of your field. Yeah, that's going to be a long day. It doesn't take an analyst to figure that out.
Exactly. But as we were talking baseball.
Yep.
So,
yep.
Do you think that there's any issues with the fact that the Mets, and I think it's going to hurt the Braves more than anything else, because obviously they had to go from Atlanta to San Diego right after the game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? Because right after the game, you get on an airplane and then you have a game today. You're not going to get a lot of sleep. It's a longer flight. It's after, the doubleheader. Like, it's going to be.
You celebrated for about 6 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
on the way to the airport. It's going to be a rough game. Although I don't know if it'll be this game that's rough or it'll be the second game. Like, you may just have enough. You may just be amped up enough to get through today.
He just played a doubleheader.
I know. But
I don't think so.
Right? Like sometimes you can get that to power through, but it's either going to be this or the next game. Like, they're going to fall flat.
Are you talking the Mets and the Braves?
Yeah.
Braves are going to get swept. They literally do not have a single starting pitcher for this series right now.
No, that's not true. They sat Chris Sale.
Chris
They
Sale
did
was
not
out.
pitch him.
Chris Sale was out with back spasms.
Yeah, no. He's
No,
not.
they were talking about it yesterday. Charlie Morton is out. Max Fried is out. Chris Sale, they said if he does pitch, will not be ready till game 3. So they have to call up 2 minor leaguers to start game 1 and 2. They literally do not have a single starting pitcher ready for the series right now.
Well,
and Chris Sale is actually going in for an MRI today in San Diego because they don't know how bad his back is. So the Braves may not have a single starting pitcher for this series.
Perfect.
sounds like the exact reason why they'd win.
just dumb luck.
And then it'll be interesting because obviously, what do you think on the Mets and Milwaukee series? Of course, you're like right down the street from there.
I think the Brewers went in 4.
There's only 3 games.
Oh, okay, yeah. So then, but I think they went in 3. I forgot the first round's a best of 3. I think the Mets will take game 2. I just think they're going to just be out of gas today, to the point where they're just hoping to stay competitive today. I know they're using a Luis Severino today, but Brewers will have Freddie Peralta going today, and then tomorrow I believe it's either Tobias Myers or Colin Ray versus I forgot who the Mets are throwing, but I think it's the Mets number 2 going tomorrow. I think the Mets get game 2. But okay. I just think today will just be an all-around rough game for both the Mets and the Braves in general. But with the Braves not having really anyone they can lean on right now in their starting rotation, I just don't see how they can even win game 1 or 2 in San Diego.
Yeah, seeing that they just who knows? Maybe the bats work. San Diego, the one thing I know that they are very good at is screwing it up.
And I think both series on the AL side go 3 games. Because
that I think that Tigers Houston game is whoever wins that game 1 wins the series.
That's why I think the Tigers have a shot, because they're throwing Tariq Skubal today, which obviously that was a done given, and I don't know, even Justin Verlander got left off the roster. So I mean, as bad of a season as he's had, you would think that you'd want to put him on your roster because of the playoff experience. Especially in a best of 3 where if it's 1-1 and you need a winner-go-home scenario, as bad as Justin Verlander's been this year, I'm still trusting Justin Verlander in a winner-go-home game 3.
No, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I would too.
And then with the Royals and the Orioles, both are young teams that don't have a ton of playoff experience. Both have great players, and then I think it's ultimately going to come down to the best player in that series is what's going to win that series, and Bobby Witt's the best player in that series.
Well, I don't know. I think that the Orioles smoke. Kansas City's limped in. You know what I mean? So they shouldn't be there. I feel like this is one of those things where Baltimore absolutely has a legitimate shot at making it to the World Series. I think that there's 3 teams that could make it to the World Series in the AL, and it's the Yankees, Cleveland, and Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
I think Detroit could do it. I put them as the number 4 spot there just because I think that they could surprise the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're playing hot enough right now. I liken them to Cleveland. They're not Cleveland, Colorado in 2007,
Mm-hmm.
where they just got hot at the right time and they're playing some really inspired
You
baseball.
could compare them to Arizona. You could compare them to Arizona last year.
Or the Phillies 2 years ago, even.
Yeah.
But I think that I just don't know that they have enough against like the Yankees. That's the problem. Like I think that the Yankees can beat up their pitching.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately going to be the downfall. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. In the NL, I agree with you. I think Atlanta's done. I think that they had to go too far away. They have the pitcher problem. The fact that they gave up 8 runs in the last 2 innings, they were up and then they took the lead again and they blew it again. Like twice they blew it. I think that's more of a telltale than anything else. I think that the Mets didn't play in game 2. They were, they got every scrub known to man. Like if I had that right, I would have had 50 people there kind of waiting, and I would have played a whole game of, okay, we're going to send this guy down. This is going to be completely played by guys. I want to play my AAA team in this game because I don't want anybody to play
Mm-hmm.
in game 162 because we don't need them to.
Well, no, and that's why I said the Mariners, they lost by 3, even though on a stat sheet it says 1. Because a lot of those teams, they got in, they shut it down.
They lost by 2. They lost by 2 because they needed 2 wins. They needed the win to tie and then the win to take 1 game above.
Exactly.
So,
well, but I mean,
they were above 500 though, which is a little bit better than what you were thinking.
Oh, significantly better. Yeah. So I mean, they were what, 6, 7 games above where I thought they would be. So I mean, like that's good, except you still miss the playoffs. So how good is it?
Yeah, looking at the Braves and Padres right now, the Padres have Marquette King pitching today. They have Joe Musgrove pitching game 2, and then Dylan Cease either pitching game 3 or game 1 of the NLDS. Braves are undecided. And it looks like Ian Anderson will get called up from AAA to start today. And then pretty much it's an all hands on deck after that. You have Rodrigo Lopez as an option, which even if you start him, he pitched 3 innings in relief yesterday. So how long can you go with him? Charlie Morton's not going to pitch. Sale, like I said, Sale's back is so bad right now. He may not even have a shot to pitch, because if he's expected to go game 3, if you don't get to a game 3, he's not pitching. Fried is out. Spencer Strider's out.
Shame. Such a shame. I love beating Atlanta. And for those reasons alone is why I think that it's possible that Atlanta wins. Like again, it's like it was the same reason why when I heard everybody was out for Seattle, I was like, yeah. And like the next man up mentality sometimes is at the right time. If you get somebody who's has the capabilities of doing it, will do it.
Yeah.
I think, so there's been, their history is littered with those types of guys.
No, there's no doubt. It's just when you have to have so many of them do it, that's where it
100%.
If you have 1, sure, no question. If it's like 5 or 6 guys, you're like, yeah, they were second stringers for a reason. You know,
Yeah, I think one or two. Like you could probably go as many as two, and if done properly, they could be maybe a trio can get hot at the same time just
sure.
because they're doing that type of stuff. You know what I mean? And they hang together. They're just hitting on all cylinders together.
Yeah.
It's the other yeah 4 or 5 becomes problematic because you only need one mistake. One mistake now makes everything bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, and then there's
that's
the experience. So, in those moments. So then it starts to pile on, right?
right. So you want to make sure that every play that you can make properly. And
Yep.
that's what the playoffs is all about. The
Mhm.
playoffs is all about taking advantage of uh, somebody else going bad. You know what I mean? So that it's somebody else messing it up.
Yep. Fundamentals. When it comes in,
But
Astros have a shot. You're not
No,
wrong, Joe. They have a
no,
shot.
they don't. No, they don't.
They got a shot.
they don't
Not
have
this
to.
year.
You
Not
get your hat in the ring, you got a shot. Unless you're
Uh,
the Braves.
yeah, and I think the Mets ultimately will Mets it up too.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I don't mind doing a repeat of 2008 playoffs where we beat the Brewers and then we beat the Dodgers.
Yep.
Yeah, I think right now I think the Phillies and Yankees are on a collision course right now.
That's kind of the way I was thinking.
And I don't know. Cleveland is so strong.
I think it's gonna be Phillies and Yankees or Phillies and Dodgers. I think those are the three teams that
Oh,
are on a collision course right now.
well, Phillies and Dodgers would play before the Phillies and Yankees.
Yeah, but
So
I think the Yankees are the team to beat in the AL, and I just think Phillies and Dodgers are gonna meet in the NLCS. So I mean, whoever's getting out of that's got the Yankees anyways.
you don't think Cleveland can take the Yankees?
Not from an offensive standpoint, no. If their pitching can keep the games close, they have a shot. But if you are forced to kind of go into a little bit of a slugfest, the Guardians just don't have the horses. They don't have a Judge. They don't have a Soto. They just don't have those kind of horses where one swing can put up a crooked number, and that could be the difference in the win or loss. Like the Guardians 40. I think they said 47 or 48% of the Guardians runs have come off a home run, so they hit a lot of home runs. But a lot of the Guardians' home runs are like solo shots. It's not like 3-run homers. It's a lot of solo shots and a lot of 2-run shots versus Judge and Soto. A lot of their home runs do a lot of damage. So even if the Guardians are winning 2-0, 1 3-run shot from Judge or Soto could be the difference in the game right there because they can put up the crooked numbers.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I think the only reason why Judge puts up a crooked number is because he's got Soto in front of him.
Mhm.
So I think Soto has a lot more solo shots than
Yeah, he
anything.
does.
And ultimately, because he's the number 2 hitter, you got to make sure your leadoff hitter, who was only hitting 230, gets on base a lot more. And he wasn't leading the league in walks or anything, so it wasn't anything like that either. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I just think that's not that the Phillies did any good at trying to beat the Yankees because we got swept by the Yankees, but I think that we attacked them wrong.
Yeah.
So this is where I kind of feel that you need to throw off speed stuff to the Yankees. You got it. The slower, the better, I think. I think that they are not good. They are fastball hitters. If your fastball is only going about 68 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, that's going to mess them up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I would bring back Jamie Moyer for a series like this.
Oh, no question.
That's where he would thrive. Things like that, where I mean, that's why he did so good against the Brewers. The Brewers I'm talking back in 2008 when he actually won a ring since he played for Seattle for so long and didn't win a ring.
Yeah.
But he was part of that team that did win like 120 games. He, literally, he was almost unhittable
Well, I
because
mean, that's why he had a 20-year career. It wasn't because his stuff was amazing. His command was unreal.
right. Could
That-
just
and
throw
that's
the
what-
ball.
And that's what made the Phillies so successful.
It may have been 65 miles an hour, but he could put it right where he wanted it.
And that's what made the Phillies so successful when they won the World Series back in 2008. Like they had Cliff Lee, Roy Halladay, and they had a couple other starters.
We didn't have Roy Halladay.
Well, that was the year after they had Cliff Lee, though, right?
No, we didn't have Cliff Lee
You
either.
didn't have either of them that year?
No, in 2008 it was Cole Hamels.
Okay, yeah, Hamels.
Yeah, and he was the one that won 3 games. We had Joe Blanton.
But even then, though, you never had guys that threw hard. You just had guys that knew how to locate and change speeds, and it just kept the hitters off balance because they didn't know if a breaking ball was coming, they didn't know if off speed was coming, they didn't know if fastball was coming.
That's what Ryan Madsen was great at. Ryan Madsen, the bridge to Lidge that year, he was amazing at that. He could, first off, when I shook that guy's hand, I have a monster hand, and his hand was bigger than mine. So I can imagine holding a baseball. Like when I hold the baseball, it's like I have to hold it almost like a bowling ball.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't know how to use all of my fingers.
No,
you know what I mean? Like if I try to, I feel like I'm more shot putting it, and I can't do that. So, but if you have the mastery on how to do that, and you can hold the ball, like his hand was so big that you could put the ball. Do I have a ball over here? I don't. Anyways, but he could get his fingers on the bottom part of the ball. You know what I mean? Like it's like when you hold a baseball, like you could hold it however you want to, and it's small enough. But you could put he could put the entire baseball in his hand and almost touch his fingers and his thumb. That's a big deal. A monster deal.
No, that's a huge hand.
And that also hides every pitch. You know what I mean? So is it a fastball? Okay. Is it a changeup? Because his changeup was like you're pulling a string on it. Like he was amazing that year. J.C. Romero was the 7th inning guy, you know, and Brad Lidge went 48-0 on saves that year.
I mean, that's a crazy stat.
The very next year, he lost the first save.
Yeah.
He gave us the first save.
Yeah, but you already got the ring, so hey.
Exactly. I guess that ring got a little heavy, is what it happens. It's just,
that's right.
You know, he's wearing it on the mound. It was weighed my hand down. I guess I'm gonna have to give this one up. Can't be perfect all the time. But we did go back that next year and played against the Yankees and you know, Alex Rodriguez, who had a monster series. You know, who else? Hideki Matsui also had a great series that year.
What a Posada.
I think he had a great defensive series. I don't remember him hitting the ball a lot. I mean, I think he hit a couple timely hits, but I think that he had a good defensive series.
He threw like 5 or 6 guys. I know he threw like 5 or 6 guys out in the World Series trying to steal.
Right.
Georgie.
But yeah, because we had Chooch behind the mound.
Yep, I got no Mariners World Series stories. Damn it.
No, actually, the best story that you have in Mariners history is probably that 18-inning game. That game was an amazing game, and I feel like the manager lost it. The managers who lost that game. He pulled it. I'm like, that's a mistake. This is a mistake. Don't pull him yet. Don't pull him yet. And
no, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you got a guy that's doing it and he still has gas in the tank, you keep rolling because it's working. I'm never a fan of getting away from what's already working. But, you know, when it comes to, you know, Mariners history, you know, the couple of meetings with the Yankees in the ALCS is probably their, you know, that's their best outings. You know, obviously they have the 116 win season and the craziness of the 95 season, stuff like that. But their best productive years were, I think they've gone to the ALCS twice and lost to the Yankees both times. So
that sucks.
It does. A lot. But I mean, it's too bad too, because the fans come out for the games, right? Like attendance is decent. The ball club is profitable. and they just never have owners that care about winning baseball, right? Like they want to have a good enough product that people show up and people spend money, but they never want to spend money to actually have a winning team. And it's frustrating as a fan because you can see when there's elements to the team where you're like, okay, here we go. Like, we just got to add a couple of pieces. This is going to be awesome. And then they won't. And then in the off season, they're just like, yeah, so we saw what we produced. We could make this team better, but instead, because we'd actually have to pay somebody, we're going to send these players out, which then subsequently win rings everywhere else. It's frustrating to watch as a fan, especially because it's been so consistent over, my lifetime of watching baseball. So, and I'm an 80s kid. So like we got a lot of years of baseball here, right? Like we're talking 43 years of watching Mariners, and we watch the same stuff.
The stink
every year.
The stink stinks. Stink.
It's like, come on, man. Like, could we at least pretend like we want to win a ring?
Well, I got to imagine that, like, as you're saying all of this, I got to imagine ownership does want to win. You know what I mean? They do want to win. They obviously have control. The one thing that the Phillies learned, and it took David Montgomery to do it, because at the time we were playing in a multi-purpose stadium that had, it was like it could hold 63,000 people, but only ever 20,000 would show up, and it would be like 18,000 or whatever. And you were always paying a lot because you still got to open up all the other things. So even though nobody's there, you got to still open up that concession. So concessions that are open are only paying for the concessions that aren't open, or because people are still there and working. It's different because David Montgomery said if we win, they will come. And that means they started to put out a better product. John Middleton, this owner, he understands that. He knows that Philadelphia, if you put out a great product on this field, people will come and watch them. And that's why we were third in attendance this year. We had over 3 million people, come in to watch baseball games. And I think only 4 teams had 3 million people. The Dodgers, the Braves, the Phillies, and probably the Yankees. So.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, they're on the playoffs.
Yeah, who knew? And
but
when you look at White Sox attendance, I bet it was not 3 million.
I bet it was. I'm gonna look that up. It might not even been 1 million this year.
I'm gonna say it was over 1 million, but not a lot over 1 million. Like a 1.1, 1.2.
I could see that.
Because people still go out on Sundays, you know what I mean? You get 25,000 even on a Sunday because they got nothing better to do. Let's go watch our team lose. Yeah.
That's the thing. As you were getting into some of those losing streaks, I imagine those attendance numbers were horrendous.
The White Sox had 1,008,000 for attendance, so they just hit the 1 million mark.
And they were the worst?
Nope.
Or was the Marlins?
They were the third worst. Tampa Bay was at 1,000,003. Miami was at 1,000,003, and Oakland was at 922.
922,000.
Oh, the only team to not hit 1 million, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd the Mariners end up there?
Mariners are
attendance was all over the
Mariners
place.
are 14th at 2.5 million.
Yeah, that seems right.
Dodgers were 1 at 3.9. Yankees and Phillies were basically 3.3. And then the San Diego was 3.3. Atlanta was 3 million, and the Cubs were just under 3 million. So the Cubs were 6th in attendance.
Wow. So 5 teams. All 5 teams were in the playoffs, though.
Mm-hmm.
And
then
the Dodgers are so much higher because they actually have a larger stadium.
Yeah.
And Ohtani filled in the rest of the seats.
Yeah. And then Yeah, the Cubs average 36,000 a game, Atlanta 37, San Diego, Philadelphia, and the Yankees average 42, and then the Dodgers average 48.
Nice.
Yeah, because I have a feeling that they're going to build more stands in Philadelphia. I think that they're going to start to take over another spot. They want to keep the skyline visible, but they are going to wind up putting out some more seats.
Yeah,
I would because you're getting the attendance. It's only looks bad when you don't get the attendance.
No, exactly. That's where you get those ones that you can pull back out.
I mean, with the standing room only, I've seen it up as high as like 46,000. In Philadelphia, and that's what it'll be for every playoff game.
Oh, of
45, 45.8, 45.9, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Kansas City is 26th in attendance.
So, which is weird. If I was Patrick Mahomes, I would be working out. You want the attendance there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's what you want. So your prices are too high on the tickets. Get them in. Get people buying the tickets.
Well, yeah, because then they buy stuff when they're there.
It's like you got to generate the income to get them. Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking. Like I know that Philadelphia's got the highest prices on beer and stuff like that, and it's ridiculously high. But that's how they pay in for some of these free agents. And I mean, the owners are in this to make money. They're not in this to just win rings. So
the Kansas City Royals have the third cheapest ticket price in the baseball.
Wow.
It's $76 per ticket on average.
It's expensive.
Minnesota Twins are at 72, and the Marlins are 69. That's the cheapest seat as the Marlins.
69. I guess that's got to be a full. Hey, pay for parking, pay for the ticket, pay for
that's
a hot
average.
dog and a soda.
That's average, though. That's like taking the most expensive seat and then the cheapest seat and averaging it together. The Marlins have the cheapest on average, then the Twins, then the Royals.
Interesting.
Got you.
Well, that does bring us to the top of the hour. If you're watching along with us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Other than that, we will see y'all tomorrow.
Take care.